Cool. Let's get cracking. Let's get this done. Right. Cheers, mate. Thanks for doing this.
Cheers. Thank you.
All
Thank you
good.
for having me.
That's all cool. Well, I mean, arguably, you are responsible for this whole thing because you got me the podcast in the first place.
Did I?
Well, I'm trying to think. 'Cause it must have been 2 years ago now, 2.5, something like that. Just because you got me into the first one. We were coming back from training, and you said, "Have you heard of this guy?" I had never, and you said you've got to look it up. And I think since then I've just devoured all of it.
Was that Joe Rogan?
Yeah, as it put me onto. But it just kind of opened me up to that whole world, because obviously not just him, but just seeing other people and stuff like that.
Yeah, because obviously people like Ricky Gervais, there's a lot of people that have had pretty sort of big podcasts as a side project from like their regular fame, whatever that would be.
Well, this is what I was saying to Josh a couple of weeks ago, was that my first ever podcast was a Ricky Gervais one, so him, Stephen Merchant, Carl Pilkington.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise that it was a podcast until many years later. I just thought that was what that was just them just chatting shit, which it was, just them taking the piss out of Carl.
Pretty much, yeah.
But I didn't realise, I didn't think that would be a proper format until way after, because I listened to that. Me and Dad used to listen to it on the way to judo every Saturday. Yeah. So we'd just be in the car just dying laughing, listening to that.
Yeah, so with that, it was on TV as the Ricky Gervais show, and it was animated, so all the clips were animated for it, and I just thought, it was something, he designed it that way. I didn't realise it was a podcast, and they'd just taken the audio and then made it into a TV show.
Yeah.
But, I didn't find out until a long time afterwards.
Yeah, same. Well, I guess because no one really knew what it was, because you'd have people like Adam Curry or whatever who would do like the first ever podcast, but no one, again, at the time, even the people who were doing it they didn't know to call it that, because it was just the way it was. Yeah. It was just, they were just having a conversation or interview or whatever. They didn't know that it was this specific, it evolved into what is now known as the podcast, I suppose. Yeah. What is different about it. But I mean, it's awesome. I mean, as I said to you on the drive up, we've got to make sure we don't sort of run out of material for what we're going to talk about.
I'll rant some.
Well, sure, yeah. Okay, well, we'll come back to that. First of all, how's your knee doing, by the way?
My knee is, I can walk on it, I can train to an extent on it. It's better, but it doesn't seem to be healing, if that makes sense. So, exercising, stretching, and all that. Yeah. It's helping, but it's still there. It's still. I don't think it's actually, like, the tendon's not actually fusing back together. It's not healing. It's just a stretch, and it helps like mitigate the pain of it. It helps me get use out of it. But I don't know. But obviously, physio and that all stopped with all the COVID-19. So until I'm back in physio and speak to them, I don't know. But from my own research, as far as I'm aware, to really know the extent of the damage and if I need surgery or physio help, I need an MRI so they can see how long the tear is and where the tear is on the tendon. Apparently, being younger and having better blood flow to the knee helps, and it should. I've got a better chance of it healing just through physio, but I don't know. I've been training a lot on it and getting used to it. I think a lot of it's now that I'm just aware of it and I can sort of work around that knee. But I don't know. I need until I'm back in physio and I can speak to them and see what the next sort of step is in recovery. But
what was the so it's definitely actually the tendon. You know what's happened to it.
Yeah. You can definitely tell it's the tendon that's loose because you can feel it. If I twist my knee, the tendon pops, and you can see it. It will actually like pop from the knee, and you can actually see it and feel it.
Oh shit!
Yeah, because it moves. Yeah, it moves. And problem is if I do something that aggravates it, what happens is when the tendon's torn, part of it will stick up, and then that touches the joint, and that's why you get pain, and your knee starts to lock up.
So which tendon is it? The one like right behind the kneecap, or?
No, it's to the side.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it works as it's behind your cap, and you have one on either side, and they're like a C-shaped tendon, and it braces the side of your knee. It also acts as like a shock absorber for the knee on either side.
Yeah.
So I can't do high impact stuff or twisting, because obviously they're the two things that it's designed to work to stabilise, and that's what sets it off. But I can squat, I can lunge to a certain extent and stuff like that, because it's just going up and down.
But no sparring or no deadlifts or that sort of thing.
No, deadlifts are all right.
Oh, okay.
To a certain extent, deadlifts are all right, because it's you're going up and down on a single plane motion. But yeah, like martial arts and stuff, because you're twisting with your hips and all that. I can't.
Especially what you do.
Yeah. So and all that, and the risk of getting put into like a leg lock or taking a strike to the side of the knee. Normally that wouldn't bother me, but now that could tear it even more, and then make it worse. So.
Well, what exercises have you been doing over the while you've been stuck at home?
Mainly body weight. I've got access to a lot of weights, so but just standard stuff: squats, lunges, plyometric stuff like explosive squats, stuff like that.
Okay.
I've got a weight vest, so I use that.
Nice.
Just movement, and then a lot of it is stretching. I've always had like really tight hamstrings, and obviously with a knee injury, when your body tries to compensate, other muscles will either be worked harder or they will tighten up and stuff like that. So stretching is to help combat that. In the knee, and it's been helping. It's been helping a lot, but I still got no strength in that side of my knee. So for the most part, it's usually all right. But if I twist on it, like turning around, or I catch my foot on something, I can feel it. I can feel it pulling on it. Yeah.
Oh, that's rough, man.
Yeah, it's frustrating for the fact that like you got a knee injury, and because I've been working it, I've been looking after it and stuff, I can still walk and stuff like that fine. So it sometimes feels like people like they don't see an issue because you're walking around fine. But it's like, yeah, but I can't do the things that I want to do, and when I do aggravate it, then I can't walk and stuff like a week. It sucks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, for me and you, the main thing that we've always been doing together is just sort of sparring first and foremost. So. Yeah,
martial arts, but yeah.
So that.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I've found, and I should have come across this earlier, really, and I'm surprised they didn't tell me this in physio, and that I sort of had to find out for myself, is icing your joints afterwards. Like obviously you see athletes now take ice baths and that to mitigate inflammation in their joints after training, and that's the biggest help. I find if I've been doing a lot of exercise, like I've been doing HIIT workouts or strength or whatever, if I ice my knee afterwards, I tend to have little issues the next day. So I recommend that to anyone who's got like back issues or joint issues. If you are working out and you think it's gonna have issues with it afterwards, ice it. Get ice packs and ice it. Yes. I know ice baths are a bit unreasonable for normal people to take. But
you got to build up to that shit.
Just get a couple of cold packs if you find that you've got elbow issues and stuff like that after exercise, or if you've been working hard, just ice it for 10 minutes and it'll just change everything. Honestly, it's something so simple. Like I know a lot of people are pushing like, take painkillers and stuff like that. Nah, I hate taking tablets and stuff like that. I find icing it.
No arguments here, mate.
Yeah, icing it helps the pain more than taking paracetamol or ibuprofen, because they don't do that much. So.
So have you just iced it, or have you done like hot baths, like an Epsom salt kind of thing as well?
No, I haven't done any hot baths or anything like that. I know heat helps as well. I just found that for me, icing it is what's really helped with that.
I would think, from the little I know about both of them, I would have thought that heat is better for preventative, like saunas and all that sort of stuff. It gets rid of all the crap in your system, so you're less likely to have all of that. Or a really hot bath, I guess, burns off the stuff that could be lingering. Whereas I guess ice is better post-injury, so sort of to mitigate the pain you're already in, or the tear or whatever. Yeah,
I mean, heat's good. It obviously, heat will cause blood to rush to it. Will help with heating. With healing, because you get like heat packs and stuff, don't you? Like for back problems and stuff like that. But I found with ice packs, because it numbs the area, it will stop the pain because the area is numb, which is, I find, a lot more effective than taking tablets. Like, obviously I've not taken painkillers that are prescription, so they're not that powerful, so that's why I don't really use them. But the cold helps with the pain, and obviously it helps take down the inflammation, which I find, especially in joints, because you get inflammation in joints, then it's affecting that joint, because obviously that joint's going to put pressure on that inflammation. So if you can bring down the inflammation, that'll manage the pain, I think, a lot more than heat. I found that's why. Well, you can try both. It's easy enough. I mean, I've got it's just an ice pack, and you can heat it or put it in the freezer and chill it.
Okay.
You can do both with it. I just found personally that the ice helps a lot more than heat. Yeah.
It's funny you're talking about inflammation. Do you remember years ago when we got drunk up by the skate park, and I thought it'd be a good idea to go down and drop him, and I fell off my skateboard?
yeah.
So last night, because I was getting this sorted out last night, I came back pretty late. I didn't eat till about 11. I was thinking, okay, I've got to just have something just this to eat. So I had a bowl of pasta with a little bit of fish. The fish is absolutely fine. Pasta, I don't normally eat that or much carbs at the minute. I woke up this morning and that fucking injury and the backs of my knees were killing me. I was like, I could feel them and hear them creaking as I got out of the bed. I was like, what the fuck? It just happened then. But I was like, okay, yeah, it was the pasta. All that glucose and shit, just real set off the inflammation in my joints. I was like, fuck that.
Yeah, is it your spine, or is it the outside of the spine, the posterior part of the?
It's literally. I'll show you after this. But this is literally it's a little lump just above my right hip. So it's like it's probably on par with my kidney, but it's not the kidney. It's just this weird lump of tissue.
Okay.
Because when I went down the ramp, the board hit a stone. The ball went that way. I went this way, and my back smacks like so. It's gonna be really shit trying to explain it. Imagine this is my spine, those are my legs. It smacks like that, so it hit at an angle, so it pushed downwards towards my hip, even though it hit my back. And I've always had this weird patch of shit on my back. It's just a weird lump.
Yeah.
But it normally doesn't hurt. But I was like, it was really aching this morning. It was weird as hell.
Have you been doing anything for it, or?
I don't know what to do because I don't know what it is. It's like a bunch of trapped nerves, but it's kind of coalesced into like it feels. I don't know what it feels like. It's about that big for my back, but it doesn't affect anything. It doesn't get in the way of anything. Like there's no muscle problems with it. But it's just those weird bunch of cells really.
Yeah.
But I don't know what to do with that because it's not affecting anything. So
No.
I don't really know really. I'm trying to think. How do we, of all the stupid shit we used to skateboard, how the hell did we come away with so few injuries comparatively? Because Kyle, I'm trying to think. Kyle broke his foot. I remember that.
I mean, well, we've all had injuries. I've demolished my ankle. I tore ligaments in my ankle. I mean, I've torn and pulled multiple muscles. Cuts, bruises.
Did you ever have any breaks?
No, I've not had any breaks. I've never. Up to date. I'm not like to I know of broken anything.
Likewise.
I mean, I think a lot of it was conditioning. I think because of the other stuff we did, we were quite conditioned to take an impact, so we knew we were quite good at falling. We knew to land without putting our arms or our legs out to compromise your wrists.
Wrist first, mate. That's how you got to do it.
That's what gets most people.
Nice clean break.
A lot of people, when they fall backwards, they tend to flail out. They don't pull in, so their heads. You get a lot of bad injuries with skateboarding because people like sort of ragdoll back and their head hits the concrete.
Yep.
We didn't do any of that. I'm surprised really that we didn't get more injuries doing the stupid stuff we did.
Agreed. Well, because over the years, I'm trying to think. Also, I can never hold accounts like you or Alex. But I'm trying to think over the years of all of us who would at one time or another been just hanging out. There must have been like 15, 20 of us over the years. You put it all together.
Yeah.
If we would have ever played it at the board, just like while we were there. How's it going with you and Alex right now? Anyway, I know you've started again.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I can't really do much because of my knee, so I can't really push it. But Alex is progressing really well. He's probably skating the best he's ever skated.
Fuck's sake. You're such a little shit.
He was always the best skater in the group. He always.
Well, to put in perspective, people who don't know, Alex for years stayed the same height, the same weight, same build. He was just this little midget man for how long? He was about 16 or something like that, 17.
Yeah.
For ages. So I think he just got used to having that same centre of gravity the whole time. So he just didn't stop. He was just always going, and then he figured out he could lift weights, and his body went, oh, we can grow as well. So there you go. Then he shot up a foot after that.
Yeah, no, he's just dedicated to what he does. When he puts his mind to something, that's So skating, he lived and breathed it. Mm-hmm. We were out there every day for hours and hours skating it, and then when he went to go into the gym, he was in there all the time. He was like, full blown like powerlifting. Mm-hmm. He was lifting huge numbers, big numbers. And man, he's just dedicated to what he does. Like if he takes something up, then he goes for it.
I saw him 2 or 3 weeks ago. Because he came up here, we were just having a walk around here. Because his dad lives around here, so he knows this area pretty well.
Yeah. He spent a lot of time up here. Yeah.
But I was like, he looks real good because he hasn't touched. He was saying he always got at home is like a 20 kilo barbell and that's it. So all he's done is just running and bodyweight shit and whatever he can do with the bar. Because where he's going from deadlifting 240 to he's just running and shit. All the fat is gone and obviously the mass as well. But he just looks lean as shit. He looks real good.
He's doing well for himself. I think like a lot of us, because we can't lift weights, he's doing a lot of stretching and stuff as well, improving his range of motion, all that sort of work, which I think's, when you've got time like this, it's really an important thing to do. And I think it's a lot of people don't really emphasise like how much of a benefit you get from that, especially like. For people like us that have done martial arts, have done like extreme sports and stuff, because of the amount of injuries you get, like you're always tearing muscles, pulling ligaments, and you don't ever like really see any like medical attention for them unless you've done something that you can no longer walk.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Most people in extreme sports would just they won't see a medical professional. So you always end up like jacked up. You got huge imbalances in the body. Stuff like that. Like I have a huge imbalance in my right hip compared to my left hip. Like
really?
Yeah.
Just from pushing?
If I'm doing I don't know what it's from, but it's probably from years of like doing sports that favour maybe one side of the body over the other.
Yeah.
Which is probably it. My side kicks, my left side kicks a lot higher than my right, like noticeably, and they feel completely different, like each side of my hip.
Yeah.
And there's probably a lot of that's from like never really properly recovering from injuries. Like you sustain a lot of injuries, you never recover properly, and you end up with these huge imbalances. So all of us taking the time to like stretch and like work that out. Like, I know it's doing me a lot of good. My hamstrings are still like ridiculously tight, but they're a lot better.
You and me both, man. No changes here.
Yeah. I think for guys, like naturally we tend to have quite tight hamstrings. Like. I know like our hips are a bit different from the female's hips, so naturally like we're not as flexible. But I don't think guys don't tend to go towards things like yoga and stuff like that like as much. It's like I'll go to the gym and bench press as much as you can, and then that's where they always end up jacked up, and they've got like. Yeah, that's it. You're great at lifting heavy weights, but it doesn't really benefit you apart from lifting heavy weights.
Yuma was the best example of that, because whenever we were sparring, he'd have his pads. When we were doing pad work, he'd have his hands like this, and you're like, dude, can you angle it? And he's like, I can't angle it. And you're like, what do you mean you can't angle it? He's like, well, because just the way his muscles were built from all of those shoulder presses, he couldn't do anything. He couldn't do that.
Yeah, he was really restricted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the one with the post-it chain. You stick it on the upper back, and he's just trying to reach it, but he can't because his fucking the traps and lats are so big. He can't get past his thing back.
I think it's like it's another product of like this toxic like how like health and fitness industry and and stuff like that, where it's like, yeah, you know, it's all well and good, but the things that really improve your quality of life and longevity are the things that people tend to ignore or don't really pay as much attention to as they should. And, you know, it's all well and good, like, being able to lift heavy weights and stuff, but all you're good at is lifting heavy weights.
Yeah.
And it's not going to improve your life when you're 50 and 60, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at Ronnie Coleman, for fuck's sake. I mean, his entire back is just one steel plate because his knees, absolutely fine, but his back, he's had all the vertebrae replaced because, you know, it's not natural to be able to lift like he can. But to your point, it's like people will focus on something to the exclusion of something else, whereas what you need to look at, which is like, excuse me, Ross Edgley's book, when he's talking about, you know, he needs to have a holistic view, so people just need to do a little bit of everything they possibly can. Yeah. So people think that, you know, if you're going to lift weights, I'm never going to go running, and runners will think like, oh, if I'm, you know, or people who are swimming like, oh yeah, I'm never going to do boxing. Yeah, so it's like, no, you need to try everything.
You lose all your gains.
Yeah, but it's,
that shit,
but it's like, well, no, because if you look like, if you look at like the legends of our history, so George Foreman, people like that, he was a fucking farmer, so he would get up at stupid o'clock in the morning, spend all day slinging hay and digging and all that stuff, and then go train the unit and repeat. But he'd do like marathons as well. He'd go do cross country shit, trail running, and yeah, crazy, huge dude. What the craziest heavyweight, that we've seen, especially from here as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's that whole industry there. It started off, you know, trying to help people and improve like your life, your quality of life. And now it's just slinging products and you know, vanity, and it's just destroying people for.
That's why I love the people that we see, and the one I keep sending you all the stupid fucking workouts, and that guy's taking the piss out of them, recreating them.
Yeah.
It kills me every fucking day I see him. It makes me happy because, like we were saying on the way up here, is that you've got people like him, people like James Smith, who are going, this is horseshit, and they're pointing out why it's horseshit, but then this is what you need to do. But because it's, even they're like, you know, don't take it just from me, because everyone's individual, because it's a huge topic, which is good and bad, because it means we can talk about it forever, but it's just you can't rush it. What we're, as you were saying about the vanity culture and how the industry's changed, it's changed to be a point where it's a one-size-fits-all consumerist bullshit, where a company can set up something and they can mass produce it to everyone, so people to make everyone believe that this is what I need, this is what I want. When that's not the case, where everyone's individual, everyone's completely different. Like, work out for you, work out for me, while we've been training together for so long, is not necessarily going to have the same effect, for example. So if I did the same, because we differed probably like 5 years ago. You started going to the gym more than I did, so obviously your physique's different to me. But if I stayed with you and joined you on that, maybe we were the same, maybe we wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe I'll still look exactly the same. Who knows? Yeah,
because obviously everyone's genetically different, and when you buy some celebrity's training plan, they're like, oh yeah, do this, and in 12 weeks you'll look like me.
Yeah.
No, because firstly you're completely different genetically. Like your work potential is completely different, and it's like, you know, when you see this person on Instagram, not only have they been training for countless years, that is their job.
Yeah.
Like where you have to go to work for 8 hours, that's their work.
It's more than their job, it's their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't see the fact that they've got a nutritionist like planning all their meals. You don't see the fact that, you know, they're taking steroids, or they're taking hormone boosters, or they're taking, you know, God knows what you can take now to improve the way you look. The lighting, you know, the Photoshop, in like everyone's, oh no, I don't do that. And I'm like, you fucking do. You fucking do. Look at the fucking Kardashians. They hire their own paparazzi because when you see an actual picture of them, they're completely fucking different.
That fucking killed me, that did. Oh my god.
You know, it's all fucking smoke and mirrors. It's smoke and mirrors. And the thing is, these people are making so much money out of it. It's criminal. They're lying to you, and they're making thousands out of it.
Yeah, the sponsorship alone is like, on average, is like 10 grand just for one post.
Yeah.
Just to push one product, and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. There was a woman in my gym. I don't know who she is. Never seen her before until that day. But I was doing my stuff. I turned around and there's this gorgeous woman in the corner. She's on the leg extension, and she's like, you know, blonde hair down to her waist, massive fake tits, big fake lips, big fake arse, gorgeous, stunning. But someone like that, someone who's that good looking, you expect to walk in, like, own whatever place they go to. Clearly, like an Instagram model or a fitness model or whatever, but she was just there, like, she wouldn't look at anyone, she wouldn't make anyone's eye contact, she just sat, like, on her phone, just doing a couple of reps on the leg thing, and I was like, what the fuck? If you look like that, you should, you know, I would expect you to, how you behave doesn't match your appearance. It doesn't make sense. It's like if you look on the male spectrum, if Chris Hemsworth walked into a building, besides being famous, he's a specimen. If he walked in and was this really quiet guy in the corner, people would be like, what the fuck? That doesn't add up together.
But I mean, like people like Chris Hemsworth, you know, he's got the work ethic because he doesn't just look ripped for a film. He's like it all the time because he's constantly working. Just from
the physical aesthetic, like, because I didn't know anything about her, and I didn't. So if I did the same thing, if I didn't know anything about Chris, I'd be thinking, you know, I'd expect him to smile. I expect him to be like even not smiling, or even looking at people, just like upright and like, you know, assertive, but nothing. Because I'm just thinking, like, she looks like she's bore most of her body.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's very interesting because you would have done that because you weren't happy with how you were before, but clearly it hasn't helped because you're still this quiet person in the corner who won't look at anyone and won't meet anyone's eyes, which is fascinating and kind of sad.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people miss out on as well is obviously they always push the physical benefits of being into fitness and stuff like that, but it's the mental aspect of it and all. It teaches you to it gives you a better work ethic because you're the person then, you know, even when you're tired, you're going to the gym, you're working, you're doing all this stuff, you know, and being physical also helps, you know, helps you mentally, helps fight combat depression, helps combat all these negative things, and that's something that the fitness industry doesn't push enough. Is don't even if you're just going for like a half-hour hike in the evenings, just to walk around a block and stuff, just stuff like that can help improve people's lives massively.
There's everything, yeah.
But obviously that doesn't. You can't make money from selling that. You can't make money from people seeing that. They don't want to feel better. They want to see something better. That's why the whole industry is just fucking.
I think we are. That's why I want to do something about it to change it, and that's why I want to join the people who are doing something to try and change it. Because when we ever trained together, I'm trying to think what the first thing we ever did. Was it jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I think so. Because you brought me to your jiu-jitsu class.
Yeah, the club one. Yeah. Okay.
Because obviously we were sparring and stuff before because we both knew we had backgrounds in martial arts. But the first classes we started doing together was, and then you introduced me to DL afterwards.
Yeah, would have been. But I mean, the thing that stands out the most for me would have been summer 2013, so between end of sixth form and most people going to uni. For those 3 months, 6 of us, pretty much, you know, the solid core, we trained at least twice a week, maybe 3 times a week, and it was just 2 hours, and we're just fucking circuit training, sparring, groundwork, just destroy it. And the fucking best part of it, as you were saying, that's the number one reason why I train at all, is because how it makes you feel. Because at the end of it, you feel like fucking gods because you've struggled hard, you've pushed yourself as far as you can, and you're surrounded by 5 other people who are doing the exact same shit as you. Obviously, we've all got different varying levels of ability, but I didn't stop all of us fucking trying and going for it as well. Because I don't think we really changed that much physically, but we definitely did for how we felt.
Yeah, because obviously what we were doing then is something that's in its most basic core is something quite primal. You know, humans have. You look back through history. The one thing that's stayed consistent with humans is like just fighting and moving around and doing stuff. You know, pushing their boundaries for survival. And obviously now we live in a culture where everything you spend all day in rooms and computers. You know, you're under artificial light. You're in these huge man-made structures, and it's not a natural place for a human being to be.
Yeah.
You know, these changes have happened over the last 100 years. These major changes in the way we live.
I'd say longer. I'd say Industrial Revolution kind of thing, maybe a little bit before that.
Yeah, but I mean, even in the Industrial Revolution, like most jobs that people did were still very physical, very taxing. Like you
fair point. Yeah,
you didn't drive to work. You had to walk to work. You had to, you had to cook everything from scratch. It wasn't as comfortable.
Yeah.
There was still something quite primal about the fact that you had to really work to live. And that's something now we live in a society where everything's made as comfortable as possible for us, and I think it's quite damaging. And I think people don't realise that a lot of issues they face in that is because you're doing something very unnatural, like to you. You got to remember that we come from not just evolution from animals, but from like a place where you had to fight to survive. You had to go get your food. You had to. You wanted shelter, you had to build it, and that's only very recently really changed to the point where we are like in society today.
On the spectrum of human lifespan, as a species.
Yeah, and then when we were doing something like that, we were obviously all friendly, like not trying to hate you, but we were training, we were fighting stuff.
You're trying to hurt each other a little.
Yeah, you're doing something that is technically quite natural to human beings. Obviously, even we evolved from chimpanzees, and obviously they fight all the time in nature. They compete with each other, and I think that's why there's something so mentally beneficial to you, because you're really doing something that most people will see as unnatural, but really is very natural for a human being to do. And I wouldn't tell people that, oh yeah, that's how you got to do. You got to kick and punch the crap out of each other. But just doing something physical like that, even if you just do a boxing fit class or something like that, like I think most people really see a benefit out of it. And I know people don't want to get hurt and stuff like that. You don't have to, but when you get involved in it and you see it and you feel how it makes you feel and stuff, like it's hard to explain, isn't it? It's hard to.
Hopefully. No, I don't want to say hopefully. It's only good at people who've done it will understand it, or people who exercise or do something that's difficult. It doesn't even matter what the fuck it is. If it's something that is difficult, because we've evolved and descended from our ancestors who come before, I think we underestimate what it took, what that actually meant for them before us to exist. I think people just assume that they just existed and so on and so on. We're now here. No, people existed, and the only ones who fucking survived were the ones who killed everyone else. So like Genghis Khan, for example, he's just related to most of the people on the planet, but because he killed everyone else. But yeah, because the fucking savages and the people that killed each other, killed the animal, killed everything, ate it, built, conquered, moved on, would then obviously survive, and so on and so on. And you could only create the animosity and the strength from those environments to then keep producing it and going on from there. But yeah, I mean, to your point about being difficult to describe, people are only going to know it who've done it, and they need to find something to find difficult for them, because life is so easy, because it is so fucking easy compared to how it was then, or how it still is now in some places of the world. People get depressed because of it. People get more anxiety. People get more neurotic, more worried, because there's that primal energy in everyone, and it manifests in these really stupid ways. Because we still have stress, so we still have our flight or fight reactions built in, but they are conditioned to respond to shit that isn't remotely threatening. It's just because that's all we have now. We don't have a physical threat in front of us most 90% of the time. It's, my boss is going to yell at me. I didn't do this today. I didn't tidy up. I didn't clean. I've lost punch to the tyre. And the stress, and it's just the stress stimulus hits us. I'm like, shit, I've either got to go, what do I do there? But most people don't know what to do there. Most people don't run away from it. Most people don't fight it. Most people just sit in it, and then physiologically becomes someone else. People will be like, I don't know, it could become a brain tumour, it could become depression, it could become anything, because it will manifest as a stupid fucking use of energy.
Yeah, because obviously that instinct, that's an adrenaline dump, isn't it, in your body? And what people forget is that's a chemical for a physical response.
Shit. Yeah.
And like you said, if they sit in it, that's when they start getting these horrible things like depression, anxiety, stuff like that building up, because you're pumping yourself with a chemical which is designed to make your body work faster and harder. and you're not allowing it to do it. You're filling yourself full of rocket fuel and then not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You need to, like, the best thing you can do if you find anxious, I know it makes you want to like lock yourself in your room and do stuff like that. Like, I know from first-hand experience, but the best thing you can do is go for a run.
Yep.
Just even if you just sit in your room and do push-ups or something.
So you can't move your arms again.
Yeah, or something silly like just do jumping jacks and stuff. Like you need a physical response. You need to burn it up essentially. You can't sit there and sit because it's going to make you feel worse and worse and worse. And I say this to people and they're like, oh yeah, it makes sense and stuff. But they won't do it. But honestly, like 100%, that's what you've got to do. It's as simple as it's a chemical for a physical response. If you don't give it a physical response, it's just you can't burn it up.
I don't think there's definitely not enough education about that and about how our bodies work. Which I always thought was really great about DL was that part of the grading was you've got to explain these stages of conflict. Which I thought was really clever. And then now you've engaged now what happens to your body, what happens, and it was really interesting actually. It was good that they taught that for whatever flaws the system has. That was really interesting that they did say, this is your body's doing this now, so it's going to release this drug, and then that will come in later on or whatever. Whereas like Jeff Thompson with Dead or Alive, because when he at the end of it he's like, cool, this is what's going to happen to your body now, so these are the things that will happen to you. So adrenaline will go in. That's why you get tunnel vision, because it comes down, because it shuts off unnecessary parts of you. You'll probably shit yourself because it's getting rid of excess weight, so it makes you lighter, so you can run faster, move quicker. And that was just really interesting. But I mean, I fucking trained years before I saw that. I didn't know any of that. It wasn't until reading that guy that I knew this stuff happened.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you with the fact that the way they teach people about these problems is they don't really tell them like. You need an understanding of why it's doing it and why you feel that way. It's people are too quick to be given like obviously if you need pills or tablets prescribed by a doctor because of what you're experiencing and how bad it is, that's fine. Obviously, as long as you're seeing a medical professional and there's something they prescribe for you. But I feel like there's people don't promote stuff that you can just do yourself that will help you quite quickly and will help you in the long term. I feel like when you prescribe someone tablets and stuff, it's a short-term solution. You don't want someone to be on tablets for the rest of their life because I'm sure they don't want that.
No.
And people need to learn to understand it and learn how to manage it and stuff like that. Like biggest thing I think people do is the whole face your fears thing. If certain situations put you in, give you anxiety, the best way to combat that is you've got to put yourself in those situations. You've got to force yourself to deal with it. I know it sounds harsh, and I know people struggle to put themselves in situations they feel uncomfortable with, but like it helped me that you just got to do it. It's a face your fears sort of thing. You learn to deal with it and you slowly build up and up and up and up, and then it becomes less of an issue, and then anxiety becomes less of an issue. And when you do get those feelings, you can learn to manage it. And it will still affect you, but nowhere near in the same way, and it won't last as long. And it's different for everyone, but I feel like there could be more education about the fact that what you're feeling is natural, and that there's nothing wrong with you. It's just obviously that you need to learn how to manage your situations in a way. Like I feel like people are always getting told like, oh, there's something wrong with you, we need to give you tablets and stuff like that. It's like, no, your body's work. Like in some cases it's not. Obviously you might have environmental or dietary issues or something wrong with you, a condition or something that's causing this. But I think for a lot of people, they just need to understand that their body's doing its job. There's nothing wrong with it. It's doing its job, and that you just need to work around your body because it's doing what it's supposed to do. Yeah, it's just a subject that's like, because obviously those experiences are personal to every person.
Yeah, it's
got deep quick.
Oh, what did you expect? I hate using the word interesting, it's used too much. I don't know how to describe it. You're right about saying the people don't understand what's happening. I think it comes back to the consumerism we were talking about earlier. But it's more like the pharmacological side of it. So obviously, the doctors and stuff I'd imagine are incentivized to say, okay, this is what you need to do. You feel this way. Okay, these are your symptoms. Have this pill. Have that drug. Have that medication.
It's a big problem in America.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like here. I think it's because it's a different. Because we're not, for the most part, we're not privatised with the NHS, so I think it's different. But it's a case of education. So the doctors are already passing on what they know, to the most part, to what they've been taught, what they know is the best solution for that. Whereas they give a shit about nutrition for the most part, which is, again, another fucking rabbit hole about that whole discussion, what that does to you. And they don't explain to people what adrenaline does. Because if you've got the rocket fuel that is adrenaline, let's say you've done something, let's say let's say you puncture the tyre, whatever, you get really stressed about it because you're going to go to work, and you're like, oh no, I'm getting in trouble, adrenaline comes up, tunnel vision, maybe you piss yourself a little bit, you can't run from it, you can't fight it, so it just sits there, you don't do anything, you go to work, you're there like, oh, this sort of stuff, you're like, okay, I need to feel better, what am I going to do? I'm going to have a lot of coffee with a lot of sugar and a lot of milk in it. That doesn't work. Let's have a Monster. Let's have a Red Bull. And it's just all of this other bullshit. I'm not having a problem with coffee. Black coffee's great. But it's the other shit you add to it becomes a real problem. It's just me drinking fucking 0% Heineken. But I'm not in a stressed environment. These people will be doing it from the first. Imagine if you're doing an office job. You'll be out the door 7:30, driving there 8 o'clock in the morning. Maybe the tyre's gone out, you then end up getting there late. So stupid o'clock in the morning, you are probably so full of these chemicals, get you wide awake like this. You probably had a bowl of cereal, fucking breakfast, or a toast or something. And it means you go to crash by 1 o'clock, and then you feel shit. So you feel shit, let's pick yourself back up again. Because there's this entire, it's just all of this shit going on all over the place. Because you get the mixture of adrenaline, too much caffeine, sugar, milk, bullshit going through your system.
Yeah.
Which again, if it doesn't turn into fat, again, will manifest physiologically. So you get cancer, you get a brain tumour, you get anxiety, you get stress, you definitely get more stress. And it's just a self-perpetuating cycle. If people don't know what's going on, if people don't know that what I'm doing to myself is fucking me over and over and over.
Yeah, I think that's another thing to do with the education around it, the stigma around it. But back to the doctors thing, I think another big issue is obviously mental health services and support in England has been cut to ribbons, and I can understand when a doctor, he has someone sat in front of him who said that they're having issues, that they're these bad thoughts, they're in a bad living situation, stuff like that, and the only thing they've got at their disposal is to try and give you tablets to help you, because we've got no support for mental health and stuff like that. They can't sit there and talk to you for hours to give you the proper advice, because they've only got 15 minutes or whatever you get at the doctors now.
Yeah.
When really they should be able to go, right, here's a therapist, here's all the support that you need to help you get through the situation. You can call these people, they will help you. You just haven't got that anymore. You haven't got it anymore. It's all we can do is give you these tablets for the time being, and here's 6 months waiting list until you can see a therapist to help give you the proper help to help tackle the situation that's going on. Yeah, it's just sad, isn't it, really, that we've got to that point that people can't get the help that's going to help them long term, like seeing a therapist would, or to help tackle the issues at hand.
Or the routine of exercise and being around the right people, and see everything you described is in normal day-to-day life, in ideal circumstances. That's been for the last couple of years, and it's only been exacerbated more by, you'll be happy we're talking about this, by obviously the lockdown. Yeah, because
which obviously is going to put more stress on people if they feel like
absolutely
they're secluded.
And the majority of it as well is going to. The majority of the service would have been withheld because there's people involved. You can't come near us because we're all gonna die. And you're there like, it's like, I hear somewhere, I can't remember where it was, and they were saying that Alcoholic Anonymous groups are prohibited because they're gathering people. But don't worry, all the off-licenses are still open. You're like, fucking Christ.
Yeah.
You're like, oh God.
Yeah.
And a Zoom AA meeting ain't really going to do shit.
No.
You're not going to feel anything from
No. They're not going to make you wear masks in public places, but we're open pubs up.
Yeah, man.
We won't allow people to go to the gym, but we're and so they can get a physical release, so they can get out of the house and do something. But we're open pubs up. You know, they don't need a healthy hobby to do while they're on furlough or whatever. No, send them to the pubs so they're fueled full of alcohol.
Or even just the initial thing. It wasn't even. You're allowed. It's not even get out. Or it's you're allowed out once a day, and you're like, what do you mean we're fucking allowed out? What are you talking about? You can't put us all. It's just so stupid. You want people to be confined in home. This is the best case scenario. If you're happy where you are at home and the people you live with are great. If you've got a bit of outdoor space, even better. So you're still going to be in that house the majority of the day, out for an hour. Maybe you go out another time if you're crazy. You do that day in and day out for months on end, you're gonna go crazy. It was me and 4 other people for the whole time I was here for the lockdown. The same for you. And I'm amazed we only had like 3 bus stops because I was expecting this to happen on day 1, but you know. But imagine you're in a situation where let's start little. You don't like one of the people you're living with, and then you're in a relationship with someone, and it's just the 2 of you there, and you don't like being with them. And then you're in an abusive relationship, and then you're a kid, and you're with an abusive adult who's got access to you every fucking day. You're fucking crazy people for doing this shit. Like and to just say, stay at home with zero fucking reference to eat better, get your vitamin C, get your vitamin D, keep the immune system strong, build it up strong. Nothing. Just stay at home. Don't touch anyone. You're like. How have we got to a point in our society in 2020 where these people who give these fucking dumb advice are in charge?
Yeah, and they don't even listen to the rules themselves.
Exactly. Biggest fucking hypocrites on the planet.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the issue was they didn't take it seriously when it started happening. Obviously, these cases were reported in China and it started spreading to Italy and Spain and stuff like that. Caused a lot of the issue. I think another part of the issue is I think people didn't like not knowing when it would end. I think that caused a lot of stress.
That makes perfect sense to me. Yeah.
And then people getting put on furlough, not knowing, am I going to have a job after this? It's a lot of stress. It's like, well, I can't go hunt for a job because I can't get out of the house, and there's going to be thousands of other people looking for jobs.
Yeah.
You know, it is stressful, and I think, you know, there was a lot of good people like Joe Wicks was doing that PE at home thing and stuff like that, which is really good. Like, obviously,
he was trying to get people active.
He was trying to do the right thing.
And he was mixing the exercise with the food, which was great. Yeah,
I think. But I think for people who've got maybe they live with family members who've got special needs, disabilities and stuff, you know, there wasn't really any real plans to help them, to help the elderly. It was very much, you know, everyone's going to get locked down. You've got to manage it yourself, you know.
There's we know quite a few people who work in the NHS, and I was speaking to one the one who's based over in Southampton, and she was saying that when it first happened, it was busy because Southampton is a lot bigger than us. It was really busy.
Yes.
She's normally on the neurosurgery ward.
Okay.
So, but they said, okay, everyone's got to, you know, while it's quiet or where it's quiet, we've got to move you just to deal with the cases and everything. It's like, cool. So they got quite bad. It's calmed down now. But I was like, okay, so you've gone back to normal. She was like, no. So when they needed us, they basically said, okay, we're going to mix you all up, we're going to put you where you needed. And they've kept that, even though there's, like, she said there's about 6 people left who have it. So she says, I'm trained in neurology. I've been on the cardiac ward for 2 weeks. And I'm like, she's like, I don't know anything about this, and I'm just sat here.
They're probably expecting another spike. I mean, they're probably expecting more like cases to roll through, but it's probably going to happen. We'll definitely get another spike the way things are going. I mean, driving to collect you, driving past all those parks, it was just full of people, all in big groups, all sat next to each other.
But what's the incubation phase for this? Because what's the time frame from contagion to symptoms?
You might not show symptoms.
Okay, well, what's it from? So what is it from getting it to? I'm trying to work out the words for it. How long does it take? Because when we first were told, we don't even know how long it takes to actually from contact to actually contract it. We weren't told that. We were told how long it lasts on stuff. Because I've been to one of these processes. They start off a distance. There's thousands of people there. Everyone's fucking distant. We're all crammed against each other. Literally not sniffle since then. Nothing. And most people, okay, for most people wearing masks. Masks don't really do much. But there's nothing from there. I've served one person since going back to work who had a mask on. Touched loads of people. Nothing. That's been 2 weeks. And that's back to this. The process was a month ago, 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, you might have had it and not shown any symptoms. Obviously, we had to self-isolate for 2 weeks because a couple of the people in the household were showing symptoms. But I never got anything. Even if they had COVID-19 or not, I didn't get whatever they had, if it be just a common cold or whatever. You know, I think it's just one of those things. I think being in the younger age group that we are, that we're fairly physically healthy, fairly physically fit, that even if we did contract it, we might not show any symptoms any more than just a regular cold.
Well, I think...
Do you mind if I just go to the...
Yeah, go for a minute, sort of. Just gonna see if you can get out of the door without knocking the whole camera over.
Yeah, I'll be alright.
Interesting what I'm going to do while he's off somewhere else. It's not quite the same as if you've got someone else manning the camera, so it means I can then have a chat with them. It's just me talking to you in a minute. There's no doubt that this thing exists. It's just because, you know, there's people, a friend of a friend of a friend who knows someone who's died. It's just the measures we're being told to do don't make sense. I get the train to work every day and I wear a mask because, yeah, you know, don't avoid getting yelled at for no reason. But there's no talk about gloves, no talk about no one cares what you touch, everyone touches the same shit, same benches, same screens. Maybe they clean it when we're not seeing. I've never seen anyone cleaning the screens though. They put these stupid signs about, like, you go up the train and you've got signs saying wear a face mask, but it says it advises you to hold the handrail, which kind of seems counterproductive to me because you couldn't get in the potential, you know, we don't really know, but you potentially get in the infection from there. Oh, it's coming back. Yeah, you missed out, mate. I was having a little chat to myself.
But yeah.
I was just saying that it doesn't quite work because there's no one behind the camera, so I can't really talk to
you
them.
got Joe Rogan like that.
Yeah.
Oh, can you just bring this up for us?
Yeah. Just Google this for you.
Yeah.
We'll get there. That's all, please.
To recruit one of your sisters.
Yeah. They demand like an hourly rate though, so
I bet they will. Yeah, they're smart. They would.
Fucking all that would be. Maybe you do it. I've done one with Lou, done one with Amy, done one with Mum.
Oh, you've already done them.
Mm-hmm.
Are you putting them up, or are they just like a personal?
So I'm trying to upload one a week at the minute. So this is number 8. So this will be obviously like 2 months, 6 weeks time from now.
Okay.
It's not even going to be remotely relevant to what's going on.
Yeah. Do you remember when COVID-19?
Yeah, but back. This is a couple of years out.
Back when that happened, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to get it. So if I can do, if I have enough to do one a week, it means I'm not rushing to get them done. If I get over one a week, I'll do 2 a week and so on. I'll just upload them when I can. But whatever, it's just practice at the minute. I mean, some people have been doing it. You know, the big one for us, who's been doing it for 10 years, he didn't get big till 600 episodes in. So got to start somewhere, you know.
Yeah. I think there's a certain extent of something that when you're listening to people, like normal people that's like having normal issues, talking, unlike celebrities, you know, talking about stuff that's not even relevant to us, you know. shit like that.
Fucking
I think,
Golden Globes award ceremony.
yeah, I think a lot of it. I think a lot of it annoys like this COVID-19, like the way the government's handled it so poorly. Because I mean, what is it? It's just poor people dying to them, isn't it? It's,
Well, okay.
yeah, there's plenty more poor people. Some of my college lecturers always used to say to me, actually, he goes, the government never give a shit about any of you. He goes, because there's always more poor people to replace you. And I was like, that's true. It's 100% true.
It's true.
So I don't care if you live in bad conditions, if you're drinking bad water, you've got, you're living in like bad places. I don't care because there's always more poor people to replace you.
Yeah, I always bear in mind. It's with food and with money, there's plenty to go around. I'm not advocating fucking communism, but I'm saying that it's just how it's managed is clearly very badly fucking managed. But the people who are in charge of it are not going to let it go.
Yeah.
Understandable, but not excusable, because human nature. You want to keep on to what you can, but where we're seeing with all this stuff here, where it's like, oh, we're missing funding for this, funding for that.
Yeah.
Because there's fucking nepotism who's taking it and giving it to his mate or whatever.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are scared of socialism and stuff because of the media paints it a bad way that we're all going to end up like Russia and stuff like that. But it's not how it works.
I mean, Russia now isn't even fucking socialist; it's a dictatorship.
Yeah, and obviously back when it was communist, it wasn't really communism.
Not really, no.
It was the dictatorship, just blanketed,
disguised,
as communism, as state-owned, everything.
Yeah.
I think, it's the problem is we're still living with a generation in control that were brought up with. That weren't brought up to be tolerant, to see the other side, to experience these sort of things. We've grown up in a generation where the financial crisis destroyed everything for us. We can't barely afford to move out. We can't do any of this stuff. We're seeing the NHS fall apart. We're seeing the environment fall apart, and I think for the most part, we've now sort of educated ourselves to understand that these things need to change. Whereas the generation before us are reluctant to see these things because it doesn't directly affect them. But we're like, well, we're now growing up into these issues and we can't, we're the ones that have to deal with the stuff that you've created. And when all these people, they retire from being CEOs, from being politicians, stuff like that, they're going to get replaced by a generation that's more tolerant, is better educated in issues that are affecting people like us now, and things will change. I mean, it's going to take time. It's not an immediate issue, like immediate fix.
Yeah.
We're talking 20 years down the line, more, things will start to change faster than changing now.
Yeah, meaningful change never happens overnight, wherever it is. It's those. It's the slight edge effect. It's the incremental steps every single day. You've got to keep going, keep trying to improve, and keep going from there. It's interesting about there's always more poor people. That's interesting. The thing about there's always more poor people.
Yeah, that's something you always used to say.
But okay, it's best to do a big full circle. The reason they don't give a shit is because they have a lot of money, and because they have a lot of money, they don't need to struggle. Because they don't need to struggle, they don't have things that are meaningful and really need to be care about, and therefore they're probably stressed about bullshit. They've probably got anxiety. They probably make bad decisions. Oh, there's a really good point towards the end of this. Fuck, where have I come? Oh, and they're at this point as well, whereas like the only meaning they can derive from life is let's make a game out of it. Let's make Brexit, Dominic fucking Cummings. Let's make this a game. This could be fun. I make hundreds of thousands a year. It doesn't affect me. The verdict either way. These same people who are, the Brexit people, they're the same people who are like, yeah, well done, independence back. They're the same people who can afford to buy their citizenship in different fucking countries. So that either way, they're like, don't affect me. I don't care because I spent 750 grand to buy my entire family citizenship in Portugal. I remember seeing years ago. I was like, you fucking prick.
Yeah.
Like these assholes. And the same thing with this stuff. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna, close down these businesses. Like, I didn't realise how bad restaurants, like how much they live on the fucking breadline. Just barely enough to make a profit, and barely.
Yeah, which is probably why they had to reopen pubs so soon, because otherwise they weren't going to survive it.
They'd never
it was an industry that was struggling before this happened.
Yeah, and I don't think that's from lack of consumerism. I think that's just how the industry is set up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not from a lack of consumerism, because people could still access alcohol easily during the lockdown, but they flocked to the pubs when they reopened.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But I think as well with restaurants, again, I don't fuck all about restaurants or cooking. I think it's just how, I don't think it's how they run, I think it's how the resources they have available that they're set up and all the supply chains and everything is, I think it's done in a way to make sure that they do barely live month by month, so they keep just ordering more and more and more while those supply chain companies get more money out of it.
Yeah.
So that they do, because I remember listening to an interview with these two people who worked there, and they were like, if we're gonna, if we're saying we're gonna open again, like we're not even being told, we're not even being given the option of saying that you're gonna open again, and we're gonna scramble, and if we have to open at a reduced capacity, there's no point because we won't even break even.
Yeah.
It's going to be at a loss for them to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, companies are just axing people just because they can now, which is unfortunate. It's just one of those things where it all boils down to numbers, man. People are just numbers to most of these companies, and that's it. Like these airlines, how much money do these airlines make?
That's fucking
companies
crazy.
Like BA must be making billions of pounds in profit every year.
Yep.
And in 3 months they've got nothing. They've got they're threatening job losses and stuff like that. But I don't know nothing about economics, but it seems crazy that these companies are making, millions and billions of pounds in profit.
Yeah.
And they're not. They can't.
At the best case scenario, it's negligence, incompetence, and mismanagement of money. At the best fucking circumstance, they're like, oh, we put all the investments into this, now gone somewhere else. Probably more likely is they just kept it themselves and fuck off. Yeah,
they said Richard Branson, when he was talking about his job losses at Virgin, the airline side of it, they said the interest on his personal finances alone would pay the wages of every member of Virgin Atlantic for 6 months.
And he's talking about job losses.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Yeah. You can't have a job anymore because I'm not going to sell my private island.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It's like him and Larry Ellison, the people. I mean, loads of people, a lot of famous people have islands, but they've got the big boy islands. Like Larry Ellison's got a fucking submarine pen. His Oracle, just like that. I mean, I don't know enough about it, but that's pretty boring. Some companies have been great, like Apple, Starbucks, IKEA. They've said, yep, we'll pay you as normal. And I was like, wow.
So that money they're saving, not paying their taxes.
Yeah, tax dodging. Got another thing or two from them.
Yeah, the NHS is falling apart. You're all losing your jobs, but don't worry, we won't hold them accountable for not paying their taxes.
You can't, mate. They're because of how the fucking tax system works. We don't actually exist. We're just, we're here, and we know we're here, but on paper, what can I say? Can't tell you.
Yeah.
What can I tell you, mate? They don't know how it works, however much as we do either. I wish I did have a better understanding of economics and everything, because part of me, because the majority, if there's so little physical money in the world that if 10% of the population withdrew all their money, we'd crash. So much of it is just fucking ones and zeros on the screen.
It doesn't actually exist in a physical form. It's purely electronic. Yeah.
It's the faith in it.
Yeah, it's based off gold reserves, but it's purely, most of it's electronic, not like Bitcoin, but it's just a transfer of numbers. They don't actually have a physical value as such.
There must be a way, I'm sure people way smarter than me know a way to sort of play that, because if you can play because in essence it's just the belief of a money existing there from this account to that account, just because I moved these numbers from a data screen to that data screen, that or therefore accounts or something. There must be a way to make something from nothing, just from knowing how to do it. Because it's just fucking moving data around. That's all it is. It's not actual money.
Because obviously if you buy large quantities of something from another country, you're not even after that transaction, they're not receiving bundles of cash.
No,
it's just purely electronic.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
a load of numbers that were sitting in one country and now sitting in another country, and that has a value, but it's not really physical as such.
Yeah. I think this was, all films, this was driven home to me the most in Age of Ultron, where Andy Serkis is like, you know, where's my payment? And Ultron's like, all right, here you go. And it's like 40 billion. He's like, and the Ultron's like, you know, you put so much value in this bullshit. And you're like, it's a good point. You're like, it's like, such a good point, Mr. Robot.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy how the value of money seems to extend over everything else. I think that's why a lot of people could get rich and stuff, and they're still not happy in that, because it's not really anything, is it? Like,
do you know who Felix Dennis was?
No.
So he was a guy who he came up in the 80s, but he died about 15 years ago. But he owned a load of newspapers and magazines, and he wrote a book about I think it's called How to Get Rich. But he basically starts off saying that if you're going to do this, it's not going to make you happy. You're going to lose your friends, your family, everything, and everyone you care about. But you're going to make money. And if you do it just for the love of the game, if you don't love it, fuck off, kind of thing, because it's not for you. But he says it's not for happiness. He says, I'm sat here on my own island, you know, with my own, you know, I own everything on here. I've got it's the sun's going down, and I've got this $40,000 cocktail that I'm just drinking because I can. But am I happy? Probably not. And I was just like, what the fuck is the point in anything then? But it was good, because I actually like, this is the point in it. Like the how long have I known you now? 14 years, 15 years?
Something like that, yeah.
But it's like you, it's Nathan, it's Alex, it's these people that I'm hopefully going to know for the rest of my life, because it's such a good bond, and because of what we bonded over. This is what fucking means something. If we get to work independently or together or something that will then make us money to have a better quality of life, great. If not, still gonna be life well fucking lived, because you've got the people is what makes life living. If you get the right people that you're around.
Yeah. I also think we're moving into a society where success in life, not necessarily financial, is moving into the people that can persevere and grind and work hard, not necessarily intellectually smarter or start life financially better off. I think we're moving into a society now where it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but people who can grind and people that can work harder than people next to them, they might not necessarily be as smart as them. They're going to take advantage, and they're going to be more successful than people in the past, where it was mainly people that were smart, intellectual, made money, and were successful there, like who had proper educations. And I know it's not necessarily always the story, but
the stereotypical structure of education, university, job, retire bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, David Goggins spoke about this a lot, that we're moving into a society that seeks comfort, and people who don't seek comfort, who can push themselves through adversity, who can persevere with being uncomfortable, with being in stressful conditions and stuff, are going to be the people that really end up succeeding in life and being happy.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you may not be the richest man in the world, but you know, people like him, people like Jocko Willink,
Cameron Haynes.
Yeah, a lot of people, just because they learnt to persevere and then and push through, have gained success just sharing their story about it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
It's not a product. It's just them.
Yeah, and obviously they got successful, and then sharing that story, and like that was their key. It was just they weren't smart. Obviously, you got someone like David Goggins, who come from a severely broken home, who had no education, who's now
140 kilos.
Yeah, who's a world record holding athlete, ultra runner,
multiple times. Yeah,
you know, he's a minor celebrity. You know, he's inspired thousands of people to do amazing feats, and all comes down to the fact that he was willing to persevere and struggle and grind and crawl through the shit to get what he wanted.
3 times as well, because he failed steel training twice because he couldn't do it.
He got through it.
He got through buds 3 times.
He got through buds with broken legs, and they said, "Well, by the time you've healed, you've got to go back through it again."
Yeah. There is something to that. That's interesting to see that sort of side is coming.
You know, and I like stories like that. It's not like Trump, who was given success. He got a loan for like $1 million off his dad. Like,
6 million, yeah.
Yeah, you know, that's
loan of
that's
6
not
million.
A success story.
Fuck off.
It's not a success story. You know, you can get 6 million, invest it into something that's half sustainable, and you could live off that. I mean, 6 million, you could buy yourself a little house and probably live off the interest from it.
6 million, it would be a successful story if you gave a lot away to charity, invested most of it, and lived, and then, alright, cool, I've got 100 grand left, and then you make something from that. That's a success story, because you've given most of it away. But I'm trying to think what's a good one. Jeff Bezos, that's a success story, because there's a guy who all he wanted to do was find a quick way to sell his wife's books, has now got one of the biggest fucking companies on the planet.
Yeah.
However ethical he may be is another question.
Dirty tactics.
But it's an example of a success story. Morality aside, that is he's taken from little to that. And you're like, what the fuck? I mean, we're all guilty of using it because it is just so good, and because it is one of the biggest fucking companies on the planet now. Yeah,
he sort of accidentally filled a void,
and we didn't realise was there.
And then,
or he created a need.
Yeah, convenience.
Oh yes.
And then again,
next day delivery.
He's making money off
so
this
easy
society where everyone wants convenience and comfort.
I can't be dealing with that. Where most people probably save money in lockdown, I unfortunately discovered eBay, and the fact you can buy a lot of books for very cheap.
I waste money though. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but you've been alright. You've been saving for like 15 years, wasn't that? And where have I gone? Distracts me now, man. I was going to say something. It's going to be cool. Money, books, getting things. Oh, yeah. I ordered something. I ordered this T-shirt actually. I ordered this. If I got this from Amazon, it would have been here 2 days later. I bought this on the 25th of May. I got it yesterday. I fucking love it. Yeah. I've bought other stuff that's better. I've actually got an On It T-shirt. I managed to find one because there's a seller in Wokingham that sells On It clothes.
Is there?
Yeah, sick. I'll send you a link. It's so sick. I'll find a T-shirt.
I don't like using Amazon just because of the way they operate.
Yeah, but this took me 6 weeks, and I love it more than my On It T-shirt because it took 6 weeks. Because I had to wait for it, I feel like I've earned it, and I think it's awesome. And because we're living in a society where we're being subtly taught to be scared about waiting for stuff, that you need to be taught that everything happens now, which is why they're always bringing out films, always bringing out TV shows, and they're making them super bingey because you can just roll from one to the other. That's how they make them binge, because they don't let you sit in your silence in your own head. They don't let you. They want everything to be now. So you're always stuck in that rat race, always spinning on that wheel. They don't want you silent or waiting, because if you're silent, you get bored. You start creating, you start questioning, you start thinking about things. Whereas if you're always doing stuff, always eating, always consuming shit, you're not stopping to think about it and wonder what's going on.
Yeah.
Which is, I've really enjoyed this. The lockdown's been great for me. So I just turned the phone off and went, fuck this. Because to begin with, it was great because all these jokes was brilliant. I was like, I can't. Because there was a TV on in the house, always playing the news. I'm like, how the hell have they managed to fill 24 hours of news every fucking day with no update? That's all it's talking about. And you see they're scrounging for shit. It's like, oh, there's one story about an old lady who, what do you do? Oh, I stand in my window and watch my neighbour's gone. You're like, the fuck?
The thing about the news as well is it's, you're talking, it's just meaningless crap. They're not talking about like, selling arms to Saudi Arabia so they can oppress the countries around them. They're not talking about what Israel is doing to Palestine at the moment. You know, they're not talking about all these other things that are happening. They're telling there's just bullshit constantly. It's just fucking bullshit. You know, it's not, because it's fear and consumption, really.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, like actually Marilyn Manson said this. He said, like, if you can generate fear, people will consume. You know, I mean, look at what they did with things like Brexit and that. They generated fear in people.
Yeah.
And that swayed the vote. You know, they like the fear of COVID-19. People started buying toilet paper. You know. Christ.
It's not fucking cholera.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
That's it. You know, like, yeah, we're going into lockdown, but you don't need to fill your. They cleared out Costco, man. Like, how do you do that? How do you clear out Costco and a product?
Yeah.
You know, but when people fear something, they consume at a ridiculous rate. You know, and it's just crazy that it's like an overreaction, like all the time, like because people don't understand and it's unnecessary, and you know, people just go into a state of panic that they don't, you know, they forget that, like, you know, human beings have survived through worse with less. You know, we survived through worse without the medical advancements we have, without the ability to do things that we can do now. It's not like Armageddon. You don't need to start like prepping and arming your house. And
those fucking preppers must have been like, told you. They must have been so happy. Like, yes, I've been validated.
It's just one of those things that, like, and it amazes me that people now that are just so impractical, they're so unable to carry out simple tasks. And see things like now, like the amount of people that they get a puncture in their car. They don't know what to do. Their car, they carry a spare, they carry a jack, they carry all the tools to get themselves out of a bad situation, and they can't do it. You know, they can't check basic things. I'm not using these examples because I'm a mechanic and I see it all the time, but you know, these are very simple tasks. And years ago, you know, you would never call out a breakdown service because you got a puncture. You'd go out and change the spare yourself.
Yeah.
You'd carry a set of jump leads so if your battery went flat, you've just got to jump off another car.
Yeah.
Carry a jerry can so if something went wrong with your fuel.
You walk to
a petrol station. You know, I mean, how many people carry a first aid kit in their car? You know, in your theory test, they talk about first aid in case you come across an accident. You know, you're driving down a country lane and you see someone's had an accident, collided with a tree, and you need medical. You know, who carries a first aid kit in their car?
And I always remember that. How far away is that little cone got to be? The little triangle thing you've got to put up just to warn people to come on.
Yeah.
All the accidents I've seen, I've never seen a fucking one of them in my life.
No, and that
no one
could mean the difference between a car colliding with you and not. Yeah. You know, and it's these things people don't. Not to talk about being a prepper and stuff. People don't look at a situation and go.
It's not prepping. It's over reliance on someone else to fucking do it for you, as opposed to you being self-sufficient. Yeah, you know, it's very basic. You can watch a video on YouTube that teaches you how to jack up a car. You know, you could go to a garage and ask them, and I'm sure most places would be more than happy to quickly show you the basics and how to do it, how to check your fluid levels to stop you from breaking down because you've run out of coolant or something like that. Like, I'd like to say that I'm, you know, someone who conforms to what you're preaching, but unfortunately, I know I've got you and Alex in my life, so I've always turned to you guys whenever I have a problem. So I'm the exact problem right now.
The thing is, you can pull out the owner's manual of your car, and that will tell you how to change the wheel. But people don't think that. They don't think I could get myself out of this. You know, people when they assess things in everyday life, you know, that when you're carrying a rucksack, it's like, well, what else could I carry just in case I need it? I could carry maybe a minor first aid kit. I could carry a little torch in case I have to walk home in the dark. I could carry a little rain mac in case it starts to rain. Yeah. You know, simple little things like that just in case you need it. It makes life easier, and then you don't get stressed out. You don't start panicking because you've somewhat prepared. even if you just think about that, like that situation before you go out, like, oh, if this happens, what do I do? Like, if I miss my bus, what do I do? What's the best way to get back after that? You know, when people, like, it amazes me that people, when something goes wrong, they just stop.
Or they freak out.
They freak out and they rely on somebody else to get them out of that situation. They're not.
Yeah.
They don't think, actually, what tools do I have that will allow me to get out of this situation or improve the situation I'm in.
There was something I was listening to. I can't remember what it was, but they're basically saying the exact same thing you said. Is that we've relied on other people to do everything for us, to think for us, to feed us. I mean, like, I've been fortunate in that. You know, over the course of my life, I've grown my own food. I've made my own. I've eaten my own stuff. So I know how, if need be, I know I can plant stuff and actually eat it. How many people sort of my age and younger know how to do that? Do you think?
Probably not a lot.
How many people in general know how to do that?
Not a lot. I think it's one of those things. A lot of people, and you know, they like sort of going back to the fact that obviously we've got background in martial arts. Obviously, a lot of people fear confrontation and what if something got physical because they haven't done anything like that. And I'm not saying you've got to be prepared in case someone attacks you or stuff like that, but it is more.
I'll say it. You've got to be prepared in case someone attacks you.
It's more just like, maybe you just watch some stuff about it and you learn about, what have I got to look out for, your personal safety. I see people, cutting across dark fields because it knocks 5 minutes off their journey. That's you putting yourself in a dangerous situation.
Yeah, that's crazy.
A lot of people could avoid getting into bad situations. I'm not saying it's your fault, and obviously you should be able to feel safe walking home and stuff like that. But the problem is there's always going to be someone trying to take advantage of a situation and try and get one up on somebody just because they can, just because they see an advantage they're going to take it. They're opportunists, and you've got to be prepared. And I don't think a lot of people actively think that way. You're right in regards to that, and it's the awareness is number one, because that will stop 90% of people, because most people from listening and reading interviews with assailants of whatever description are people of they are opportunists. There'll be circumstance that they'll do it from because that person's not aware, I'll go get them or whatever. Yeah, because they're walking with their earphones in.
Yeah, or they're not looking, or they're not. Yeah, I can take their phone, I can mug them, I can beat them up, I can rape them, whatever, because they're not not being aware. I think is sad but very interesting is the people who know the least about fighting or even a mild bit of violence are the ones that are always calling for it and for physical actions to happen, like let's go to war,
people looking for something.
Let's go to war. If you have a problem with someone punch you in the face, and you're like, have you ever been punched in the face? Have you ever actually fought someone? Because I remember me and you having a conversation on the phone the other day, and me, I think actually Lawrence said something about like hitting someone. I can't remember what it was, but me and you were both there like, nah. No. Don't do it. Don't. Out of this conversation, only one person who doesn't do this says to do it. You're like, nah, don't do it. Don't do it.
People like that really annoys me. People are like, oh yeah, this person has said this to you. Oh, why don't you deck him? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? It's like, yeah, it's all right. Yeah, maybe I punch him and whatever happens. But then what happens when 4 of his mates come around the corner? What happens if he then pulls out a knife? What happens if, it's all well and good. Oh yeah, I'm big, I'm strong. I can fucking deck him. Yeah. I can do this. Yeah, that might work out well. Or, he says something to you and you deck him. Well, what does the security camera see? All it sees is you talking to someone and then you fucking punch him.
Yeah, and what has that achieved?
Yeah.
Besides you feeling good about yourself.
All that achieves, then you end up with a criminal fucking record.
Yeah, because you hit someone who says something, well done, you fucking crybaby. Someone's using nasty words against you, well done.
Yeah, it's not Jesus personal. Christ. It doesn't matter what they fucking say to you. It's not fucking, they don't know you. Who gives a shit? Yeah. Yeah. People are too quick to jump to violence, to do stuff like this, and then it's what happens, like, oh yeah, you punch someone and then they fall awkwardly and then they end up dead, or
yes,
they end
exactly.
up severely crippled. It's like, well, now
you're in prison now.
Yeah, and you've just done that to someone over what? Because they've said something about you.
Yeah,
it's fucking stupid.
It was I was into Russell Peters the other day. He was saying that I did judo for ages and I stopped. Jiu-jitsu for ages and I stopped because I was walking on the street. These two guys jumped me. One jumped me from the back and one jumped me from the side. He's like, I shoved that one at the back out of the way, and then I kicked the one to my left down, and he shattered his teeth on the pavement. And so they went, Russell, it's us! And he was like, oh shit! And it was his two mates. And he was like, oh my god, what have I done? What have I done? Because he just instinctively went bang, bang, bang. I mean, like, that's a poor example because they were stupid for jumping on it. Like, they shouldn't have done that. Because if anyone jumps on you, you react like that. But it's going on to your point being that it's that split moment. It's like, minimum, you've got to feel shit for hurting someone. Or most likely, and worse, is you're going to get legal and physical ramifications. As you say, you hit one person, well done. I mean, I've been, we've both been out in town and in clubs and bars and shit, and it's, you're like, someone's next to you or trying to talk to you or trying to have a go at you, and you're like, this could break, you could snap off in like 1 second if I do the wrong thing, and it's there like, nah, just walk away, and you walk away and you're fine. But like, I've had loads of times where I've had like someone drunk next to me who is like, and I know I'm like, if I talk to him or look at him, he's gonna fight. So I'm just like, nah, I'm just gonna leave. And you just walk out. And it's like,
I mean, that's one of the worst things. Like, one of the downsides of doing a martial art is people find out that you do a martial art.
Oh, it's like fucking test you.
Yeah. It's, what if I did this to you? And what about this? And what about that? And it's like, no, mate, no, I don't want to get into this. This isn't why I do it. Yeah, I might have to defend myself, but whatever happens then happens then. Like, this isn't why I do it. I don't do it to entertain you. I don't do it to be like this. It's not about that. It's it's just real like fucking crap. People are like, I had this fight and I did this to this person. I was like, it's good for you. You're just an arsehole. That's what it is.
If you want to do that, mate, join an MMA gym. Come on.
Yeah, if you want to fight, go fighting competition where there's rules and
and you can actually achieve something. Do it. Yeah, good for you, mate.
Yeah,
you do it in the street, well done.
Yeah, it's just like if you do it in the street, you're just a thug, just a criminal, isn't it? It's not the same. It's crap. And that always seems to bring out the fucking worst in people. Yeah, it really does. It's shit because you're doing something to better you, to improve you. If you're doing it for fitness or you're doing it for defence or
protect your loved ones.
Yeah, whatever. Like, it's just, I don't know, I think, it's like, it's all well and good you say this, and it's like, why don't you try it? Like, why don't you do it? Like, and see what it's actually about rather than just talking shit. Yeah.
People get the wrong idea from, they misunderstand what televised boxing about, what televised MMA is about. They misunderstand what it is. They think it's glorifying violence. You're like, it's exemplifying these fucking assassins of people, these people who have been through whatever hardships, be it Francis Ngannou, who used to fucking dig out sand mines with his bare hands. If it's anything like that, if it's Daniel Rodriguez who's been to prison so he could fight because he's had to literally fight for his life. These people have, Mike Tyson, he horrible childhood, had to dig himself up from nothing. These people had to, they could fight like this because they had to, because otherwise they die. They wouldn't be here otherwise. Yeah. Or they'd be, they wouldn't be living a life not worth living. And it's an exemplary. It's a celebration of their skill and their dedication and their life and what they've done to this. It's not like by the time we fit, it's Jorge, it's Masvidal and Usman tonight.
See what? I've not really been following UFC or anything like that.
Oh mate, it's gonna be so good. But I mean, for those two people, I mean, like fucking killers. But it's gonna be awesome because it's gonna be their skill versus each other. It's not the violence itself that is the value. It's the interaction between the two of them. That's the value. It's the discipline. And also, they are so fucking disciplined. Yeah. So disciplined. Yeah, I think it doesn't compute to most people what their brain is like.
Yeah, I think people who haven't trained in a fighting discipline don't appreciate the years of learning techniques, of developing stamina and stuff. Yeah. Don't appreciate the art behind it.
Yeah.
All they see is the violence.
All they see is punch, well done.
Yeah, but obviously that fight is the only way they can truly somewhat test what they've done. You know, otherwise they'd be doing all this training for nothing. You know, they might never have a fight in the street or wherever in their lives and spend all their lives training. You know, it's the only way they can test themselves, and that's it. It's not about violence. I mean, some of them might go in with bad intentions, that they want to do harm, they like doing harm to somebody else, but
odds are those ones will lose.
Yeah, I don't think those kinds of people last very long, but for the most part, it is athletes at the top of their physical ability testing themselves. You know, testing what they can do and how what they've trained paid off. It's the only true way of testing. You know how good they are, because you can be rigged up to machines and you can do all that, and that's all great, but till you test yourself against somebody else who's really put the work in, you're never really going to know. You know, that's the only benefit of competition, really. Yeah,
there's something on the line, and it's how you compete under those conditions as well.
Yeah.
Do you think martial arts should be mandatory?
I think martial arts has a lot to teach people about themselves more than anything, about putting work in, dedication, about gritting your teeth and getting through it and grinding on. I like that character building side of it. I think how a lot of martial arts operate, I don't completely agree with it. And I think
the institutions themselves, not the discipline.
Yeah. I think a lot of martial arts now are just companies. They're more about making money than teaching people how to defend themselves in a way that I see efficiently.
Yeah.
And about the defence side, I think what people teach about defence is very wrong.
In what ways?
In a way that they're like, oh yeah, this is how you punch, this is how you do a throw, stuff like this. Like now, for people to become efficient at this, they have to train for years.
Yeah.
Like you'll know from doing judo, to be able to lever someone properly to really make your throws efficient takes years of practice. You know, you can spend a life learning how to do even just the basics really well. You can't teach someone that in a 12-week course, especially if they're not practicing all the time. Next year they might get into an altercation, won't remember anything.
Yeah.
When they teach defence, they should more focus on being the awareness and what you can do immediately, rather than like it's all well and good, like especially I think in women's defence classes as well, because you're teaching them to like do throws and stuff, which is great. You know, it's great. I'm not going to talk trash about martial arts that do that, but you can't expect someone with a smaller frame and isn't naturally physically as strong as a huge bloke who weighs 120 kg to then throw them over your shoulder unless you've got like perfect technique and you're conditioned and you've worked years to make that work that well.
Yeah.
You know, they should be teaching people, look, we can teach you how to punch, but when you've got all that adrenaline, when you're in a situation and you've got split seconds, you're not going to remember how to punch. You're not going to remember how to throw a side kick. You're not going to remember how to throw someone over your shoulder. You're not going to remember any of that, because everything suddenly starts working in ways you're not used to. And it's weird. Unless you've been in that situation, you won't fully understand it, but you just stop thinking. And what they need to teach people is stuff that they can do more immediately, so being aware about putting yourself in that situation to start with.
Yep.
And then if you're unfortunate enough that you still end up in that situation, rather than trying to throw or stuff like that, just resort to the primal. Bite, scratch, shout, scream, struggle, pick something up. Don't bother using your hands, because if you punch someone wrong, you'll break your hand and then you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah, that's gone, yeah.
Grab your keys, scratch them with them, throw coins at them, throw anything at them.
Yeah.
You know, swing your hand, like if you've got a bag, swing your bag at them, stuff like that.
Just stamp on their feet, knees,
yeah, that's it.
groin, everything.
When you're teaching someone self-defence, these fancy kicks and stuff like that, it's great in sport when there's rules, when you've conditioned, when you've been training for 12 years and you're at the height of your physical fitness and technique, yeah, that's great. You can do that. But when you're in the street, maybe you've had a couple of drinks, you're in a dark alleyway, you're secluded, you're scared, you've got all this adrenaline going through your system, you've got to resort to the primal, because that's the only stuff that you're going to remember, the stuff that comes with instinct. So to scratch, to do that, to take your watch off and hold it in your hand, try and scratch, and with that, you know, that's what you've got to do. That's what you've got to do. You know, don't be walking around with your headphones in, taking away your senses. Don't be, you know.
I think inherently for the headphones thing, for example, if you do it, but you should be careful when you do it. If it's a bright sunny day, you walk down a main street, fine. If it's dark or if it's a side road, then you've got to watch out what you do. And that's one of the facets I loved about one of the systems me and you have done, is that it would be, right, Joe, stand in the middle, rest of you, put gloves on, put pads on. Alright, Joe, you've got 2 minutes. They're going to try and beat the shit out of you. You've got to get out of there. Alright, go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Because, again, they're wearing gloves, they're wearing pads. None of the fuckers are holding back. They're going for you. They're trying to get you. There's 4 dudes. A couple of them, huge fucking dudes that we used to train with, and they're going at you. You've got to get out of there. And they'll shove you to the ground. They'll kick you. They'll punch you. You've got to try and take out one of them, try and go. But you just, as you say, once you get, all it takes is, I've had a couple of the guys accidentally, elbow you in the face or punch you in the face, and you just go, your brain just goes white. You're like, I have no idea what's happening, and you just, all right, cool. And you just throw yourself at someone. You just don't know. You don't even know what you're doing. You're just going, and do this, move out of the way, run, do this, and then it's training you to try and work under serious pressure and serious, pressure.
People obviously martial arts want to promote what they're doing, but you got to remember, like, animals fight all the time, and they don't know martial arts.
No,
they resort to the primitive. They're biting and scratching each other.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to do, because that's the stuff that's not going to leave you. And it's the same as martial arts. If you get into a real fight, the things you're going to remember are going to be the basics: basic punching, basic kicking. And that's why a lot of martial arts, they don't focus on that enough, just drill in the basics, because it's boring and nobody wants to do it. But
it'll save your life.
Bread and butter stuff's what's really going to matter. Like me.
Yeah.
How many times you've watched MMA and they don't really use fancy techniques. Sometimes on the floor, the jiu-jitsu, they're using like quite advanced techniques of locks and stuff.
That's a different animal for jiu-jitsu. For when you get to the ground. For striking and
when you're watching the striking, what are they doing? Basic punches, basic kicks.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
It's just technique and power.
Yeah, that's it. Obviously, on the floor, it's more about it's more of a strategy game. But obviously, they're governed by rules on the floor.
Yeah.
Where it's the same applies. If you're in the street and someone drags you to the floor, you can still bite.
No fucking rules, mate.
Yeah, you can still bite, you can still scream. If someone attacks you, like someone's threatening you and you feel threatened, grab something that's around you. There's no rules. Don't govern yourself by rules.
No.
You're better off having your day in court than
dying.
Something happening, like terrible happening to you. You just resort to the primitive. Don't worry about, obviously that doesn't sell but that's what they should be teaching, especially to, I know like young men and women, especially I would like to say in schools. I know it's a bit of a weird subject trying to tell kids that you should do this sort of stuff, but in the street, if something happens to them, like you're a young girl walking home from school and someone tries to drag you into a car, this is the stuff you've got to know, because this is the stuff that could change the outcome of that situation. There's no guarantees in a situation like that, but this is the stuff that could change it. Rather than someone coming to school and saying, oh, this is how you punch and kick and stuff, like, you'll forget that. Unless you're drilling it every day, you're training you're doing weekly classes for years, it's not going to work. But this is the stuff they need to tell people to stand a chance. Walk home with your keys in your hand. That way then you haven't got to think. If you have a pen, walk with a pen, clipped in your pocket or in your hand, because that's a quick weapon you can use. Someone tries to grab you, you can stab them in the hand to release like a bear hug, or they're trying to drag you somewhere. It could be the difference, and especially if you're fighting, like you're small and you're fighting someone rather large, and they've got a huge weight size opponent, range on you, you need to even the odds, and the only way you're going to do that is by, using something that's gonna put those odds in your favour. And they don't teach that enough in self-defence or to people. You know, obviously it's quite a violent way of looking at it, and that's why people don't like to do that, don't like to look at it like that, don't like to practice it because of how realistically violent they can see how violent that is. But that's the difference. That's the difference. That's what's going to help you.
Yeah, some people want to have they want to have a martial arts training that's fun, which it should be anyway. It will be anyway.
A lot of people go into martial arts just for the fitness element of it, which is great. I mean, it's great because you will be fitter.
It's a good reason. It's a good reason to go.
Yeah, it's a great workout.
Yeah, but you've got to understand if you follow the logical conclusion where this will take you from what you're doing this for, and like the system we used to use. And one of the greatest reasons why I enjoyed it so much is that they were like, you're going to get hurt. We're just teaching you how to limit how much you get hurt and how much more you hurt them.
Yeah, it's just changing.
You've got to accept you're going to get hurt. Yeah. It's up to you how much that it's going to be.
But in like that, in defence classes, they don't teach you you get like a strike out of nowhere.
Yeah.
How do you come back from that? As well as they don't teach so much the way to overcome initial fear. The best way to come over the initial fear of a violent confrontation is hyper-aggression. Like Jocko Willits, obviously, former Navy SEAL, he knows all about being in violent situations. And a way to overcome that initial fear, that shock that makes you freeze before your fight and flight instincts really come together, is to get hyper-aggressive. And that's what's going to give you the edge to survive, because a lot of people are opportunists and they want easy targets. If you're not an easy target, there's a good chance they might leave you alone.
Right, pause that. We'll come back to that. I see the piss. But that's a very good
time to pause.
We'll leave it. We'll keep you running.
How long have we been going on for?
This is an hour and 41. You can just talk to the camera if you want.
That's pretty good, man. Coffee.
That was Austin Powers for it there. That was awesome. Jesus Christ. Do you need to go as well?
Yeah, I want to go now as we stopped, didn't we? It's
Alright, cool. Oh, fucking hell. It's from when you're drinking all these beers, it kind of goes right through you. Right, let's see what's going on with this. Right, okay, so the reason we've got it's new software for me. For some reason, when we had two mics, I could hear them both, but I couldn't record both at the same time. So it's me just being a bit stupid, is all. So if you've got any questions about why we're only using one mic, it's because I couldn't get the second one to work and record at the same time because I'm a bit silly. But hopefully I'll learn, or some other expert in the house can teach me. I'm not saying other expert, I'm clearly not an expert, otherwise I wouldn't be in this problem, would I? But someone else can teach me. Someone who's, has had us longer than me and has, a sense of wisdom, purpose and expertise in life, and is very zen and peaceful. Like a great Indian Buddha. Maybe less like Vishnu, because you've got like 6 arms or whatever. I don't know if that's Vishnu or it's something else. Alright. It's still going, so it's just because I want to carry on what you're saying, opportunist, and then we'll wrap it up. As I know the other members of the family want to leave room in a bit. And this will be
of course, yeah, man.
almost 2 hours. So, speaking of opportunists, tell me your reaction to the stabbings at Forbury the other week.
Well, I mean, I don't know a whole lot.
Likewise.
It seems like, from what I've heard, the guy had a lot of mental health issues, which could have led up to it. It's unfortunate, and the problem is, in an attack like that, there was no initial indicator, no confrontation, no trading of like threats or anything like that. You can't prepare for something like that. He just walked up and attacked 3 innocent people. Luckily, a police officer tackled him, which obviously is a pretty remarkable thing for someone to do, to tackle someone who's got a knife and put themselves into danger. You know, I know they wear stab vests, but they're still very vulnerable to an attack from that. It's just unfortunate that it happened, really. And a lot can be said about maybe mental health failed him, maybe he was radicalised, maybe this, maybe that. No one really knows at the moment. I don't know. I haven't read anything that indicates really why he did what he did. We may never really know why he did what he did. But it just shows you that sometimes people just go out to do harm to someone because of whatever reasons. They just go out with the intention of doing harm. If maybe it's mental health, maybe they're not in the right frame of mind, maybe they're in some sort of psychosis, something like that. But it doesn't change the fact that they go out to do harm with no agenda other than to do harm. And it's pretty crazy, and it's pretty scary, and I think people need to be more... I know I can't say, like, you know, everyone should be more aware of this and be more aware about self-defence, about these situations, about that, but I think, like, people should just, you know, just be more aware about why someone might do something like this, and be more aware that sometimes you might get put in a situation that is horrible, you know, through no fault other than somebody just wants to do something to you. And it might not be just because, it might not be you necessarily, like a target attack, it might just be because you're there when they're there. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Bad things happen to good people all the time. And it's just, there's some things you can do that maybe like mitigate the effects of it and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy that someone could go out and do something like that.
Again, similar to you, I know only a cursory knowledge about it. I'd wonder, because we were talking about opportunists, I wonder how many people would have been like aware of their surroundings. Because I'm wondering if people like saw him or people didn't see him and it came out of nowhere. Because if people saw this guy, because I don't know about you, but whenever we're out doing something, or I'm out doing something, I'd make a game of keeping count of people around me, just so I know where people are. So I don't know. I'm not trying to pass the blame or anything, but I'm just saying that I wonder if this would have happened if people had made an effort to just be aware of their surroundings, the people around them, because like we were saying earlier, with the education, because it stops at awareness. Because if people are looking at him, if people clock this guy, maybe he wouldn't have done anything. There was one guy who was a personal trainer who gave a statement, because he was there, and he was with a couple of his mates, and he was fine because he heard something. He heard like a kid scream or something, and he turned around, he saw this dude, and the guy came after them, and him and his mates ran. But some of the other people, like one of the people who was in the circle of some of the people that died, they heard the same thing, but they didn't do anything. They didn't look. They weren't aware, and then they got attacked because they didn't. Well, why would you? It was just someone screaming. You're like, okay, I did their thing. Why would you look?
Yeah, I think awareness plays a big part in that, especially in self-defence. Not stereotyping people, but just judging. You know, is that person? You know, could that person be capable of doing it? Are they wearing something with the intention of concealing a weapon? Obviously, if someone conceals a weapon, they can get pretty close to you without you knowing anything. But yeah, being aware, if someone screams, if you hear, even if you you hear a car pulling away fast or braking heavily, why are they doing that?
Yeah,
it's looking for stuff that isn't. It's looking like being aware of stuff that isn't normal. It's pretty easy to see. Like reading stuff about like because I read a lot of stuff about these situations and like self-defense and stuff. Obviously, coming from the background of martial arts, but a lot of times there can be indicators that people are intending to do something. If it's a sunny day and someone's wearing a big coat, what they're trying to conceal.
Yeah.
If someone's dressed or in a certain way, like why are they initially walking around dressed so out of the ordinary compared to everybody else? If they've got weird behavioural traits that they're doing stuff that's out of the normal.
Yeah, behaviour's number one.
Yeah, like you got to ask yourself, don't just walk past them. Ask yourself, why could they be like that? Is it because they're amping themselves up because they want to do something, or is it because they're in a level of distress or something like that? Not necessarily because they're going to do something bad, but maybe they need help. Maybe someone's has become injured. Maybe like you see someone on the floor, you're like, why they're on the floor? Maybe they've fallen over and they've hurt themselves, and now they need assistance from someone. Yeah. Being aware of the surroundings. I think a lot of people aren't necessarily aware of their surroundings all the time.
Yeah, definitely not.
And it's hard to be. Like you're talking with your mates, you're having a good time. It's easy to be distracted. You've been out drinking, obviously.
More vulnerable. That is the essence of what self-defense is. It's not like do this class and you'll be invulnerable. It's like no, it just stacks the odds more in your favour because we're playing the odds. Like we've been taught, you learn. We've done three count drills, 6, 9, 12, 15. You learn the more drills because you've got to accept that 66% of what you learn is going to go out of your head when it happens. Yeah. You're going to be left with a fucking third of everything you know that your body's going to allow you to do. So that's where you just churn the numbers through, so you've got more and more to fall back on. Yeah, I mean, like avoidance is awareness and avoidance. Yeah, is the biggest thing about self-defense. Before learning, fighting. Yeah, just don't get it. Don't get in that situation. Just seeing a situation before or as it happens and going like, if this turns bad, I'm in a real disadvantage. Yeah, get yourself out of there. Get you and your friends out of there. Leave. Yeah. If it means not doing something, or it means going an alternative route, if it means not, even if it means like, do you know what, I'm going to carry something because I could use it in a defensive situation, then so be it. Obviously, I'm not advocating carrying weapons. No. Carrying knives and stuff, because like that whole defensive. He's carrying a knife. He might be carrying a knife, so I'm going to carry a knife. No, that's nonsense. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like that's why knights wore armour and carry shields, because that's what defended them against a knife, not carrying a sword. Yeah, no, that's a dumb argument. Yeah, it doesn't work. But maybe you say, look, I'll just carry a backpack because I think I could use it, or I'll carry a pen, or I'll just have some loose change because I could chuck it at someone and run. As you said earlier, make keys. Yeah, keys are great. It's like I'm going to wear comfortable shoes because I'm going into an area where I might need to run. Yeah, I might need to run. Like like you're going out and you're like I'm wearing clothes. You're going out drinking with the lads. You're going into an environment where violence could happen more likely than anywhere else because people get drunk and get violent all the time. Yeah. If you're wearing clothes that you can't move in, shoes you can't run in, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage already, and you might not have anything to do with it. You might just need to get out because a fight's breaking out and you're like, I don't want anything to do with this. Yeah. I want to move. You've got to move through a crowd, or you're walking down, like you're getting chased by someone. I know a lot of people don't care about that sort of thing. Practicality in stuff, but I think people should take that into consideration when they're planning their day-to-day activities about not dwelling on if something goes wrong. Because more than likely it won't. Everything will go fine. But it's just having a sort of idea that if something was to go wrong,
what can I fall back on, or what can I use to my advantage, just to give yourself an edge. And yeah, it's just a good habit to have, I think.
I agree.
I think it's something that people in martial arts tend to develop, even if they're not necessarily taught it, just because of they see how a situation go back quickly. But with the growing amount of violence that we see on the news all the time, that's happening, not just in major cities where you see crime all the time, but now everywhere. Yeah. I'm not saying it would have changed the situation that happened in Reading. I'm just saying that, you know, you might just give yourself a chance. You might just give yourself an edge, and you might come out just better off because of it. It won't work every time. It won't work for everyone, but maybe for you, you'll just give yourself a chance. You know, sometimes, you know, it sounds selfish, but you've got to look out for yourself, because a lot of people won't. You'll look out for your partner and stuff, but, you know, you can't expect some random stranger down the street to come to your aid if you're getting your head kicked in, because they might not know how to help you. Yeah. You know, and they were lucky that a police officer managed to tackle that guy and stop anybody else from being attacked. But you can't, you know, you can't count on strangers to help you in a bad situation. So you've got to remember that sometimes you've got to look after yourself and be reliable and reliant on yourself to get out of a bad situation.
Well, I think that's a good note to end on there, mate. That was all cool. Thank you very much for that, man. That was awesome.
Cool, man. I enjoyed it.
That was really cool.
Cheers.
Sweet. Well, for whoever the 3 people that be listening, I appreciate it. We'll catch up with you another time.
Awesome.
All right, appreciate it. We did hour 56.
That was good, man.